Hello.
Hi, this is Ricky Gervais, and you're listening to the Radio Times podcast. No idea why. You must have a very, very empty life. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to the RadioTimes.com podcast. My name's Tim Glanfield, and today we're talking about a returning show, Line of Duty. I am pleased to be joined by Eleanor Bley Griffiths.
Oh,
yeah,
say hello,
that's the point. Say hello.
Oh,
Say hello. Yeah, that's fine. She just was.
She's focused on the Line of Duty.
We're gonna do Line of Duty, but she forgot to say hello. Susanna Lazarus.
hello.
And Paul Jones.
Hello.
By the end of it, we got it, didn't we? Once we went all the way around the table, so that's good news. And it's good news that Line of Duty's back. Is that right?
Hey.
Long
Certainly,
awaited.
yeah. How long's it been?
2 years?
Yeah, coming up to. Yeah.
Nearly 2 years.
This is the show I've been most excited about this year. Like, nothing else comes close for me to Line of Duty.
And it's been
I'm
2
very
years.
excited.
And you've
In
seen the
Line of
first
Duty
episode,
time.
and you're still excited, so that's
I'm
a good
still
sign.
excited, yeah.
Cool.
It lived up to expectations.
Excellent.
Well, that segues nicely into our discussion about Line of Duty. I think before we go down the what happens in the new series, because I know that two people around this table have seen the first episode and two haven't, so you'll have to fill it in at some point very soon. But first, should we remind ourselves where we are with the story? And I know that Susanna has written the definitive article.
I wrote pretty much a dissertation 2 years ago on how the first four series of Line of Duty linked together.
You can find that at radiotimes.com, let's say /
Line of Duty Series 4.
There you go.
Let's make it that.
Let's say
I
that.
bet Jed
We'll make
Mercurio
that happen.
refers to that when he's trying to work out what's going on in his own TV series. It is comprehensive.
I mean, I only did one thing really before recording this podcast, and that was to reread my my dissertation. It's good homework.
So it might be worth noting, if you are listening and haven't seen Line of Duty, there may be some spoilers ahead. So if you haven't seen the first four series,
Yes, we're not going to spoil Series 5, but we will pretty heavily spoil Series 1, 2, 3, and 4.
do switch off or turn your radio down.
They already
now.
have.
So Susanna and everyone else, what's the story so far with Line of Duty?
Well, I think there's quite a neat moment at the end of Line of Duty Series 4 where you see Ted Hastings and his team, Kate Fleming and Steve Arnott. Wow, I nearly forgot their names. That's a good start.
It's been 2
Such
years.
a big fan. No idea.
The trio at the heart of AC-12, and they are surveying a series of boards with a series of pictures pinned on those boards. And that essentially summarises the investigation that kind of overarches the first four series. And that's kind of the point where we realise that everything really was connected together. We've had these mysterious balaclava men popping up throughout the series. We've had numerous corrupt police officers. What we've learned is that there is a shadowy figure at the heart of the police force, nicknamed H, who is responsible for 4 series worth of dodgy dealings and criminal investigations. At the end of Series 4, we think we know who that is, a man called ACC Derek Hilton, who was found, he was presumed to have committed suicide at the end of Series 4. And as we pick up on Series 5, it's a case of, have they got the right man? Is this the shadowy H? Is
that Neil Morrissey? Derek Hilton?
No, that is a man called Derek Higgins plays him.
Ah, right, okay.
No, Neil Morrissey kind of comes in and out, but no, this
Paul
is
Higgins?
Paul Higgins. Very good. Sorry, Paul Higgins, if you're listening.
He's not.
Thanks, Paul. Full faith in the listenership of our podcast. So yeah, as we go into Series 5, we'll see AC-12 questioning a little like whether they've got the right man and trying to kind of reach out to the heart of this big criminal organisation.
Cool.
So that's where we're at, is it? So that's how we ended. Anything to add there, Eleanor?
In terms of the characters, we've got Monique coming back, one of our faves. And she was the one we saw in Series 4 handing on information to ACC Hilton. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that.
Yeah, I liked her. I liked her up to a point.
Yeah.
And then she was evil.
Yeah, that's
often the case.
We were all
with
very
get too
upset
attached
when
to
that
anybody.
came out.
So I've just realised who Hilton is. He's the sort of public school, very high up officer, isn't he?
Who got quite close to Ros Huntley in last series,
Yeah, and so Hastings is still estranged from his wife. He's in financial troubles. And Steve is, 2 years later, still recovering from that horrible incident of being chucked down the stairs by a balaclava man with a bat.
I like that they still bring that into it, because in TV land, you could be chucked down a stairwell and then, a few minutes later see no effects. And actually, to keep playing out the effects of that, I think is good.
And then we'll also see the return of, if anyone remembers, Sam Railston, played by Aisha Hart, Steve's ex-girlfriend. She's in the Murder Squad, I believe. Les Hargreaves, played by Tony Pitts, the other potential H on some people's minds, and DC Jamie, not James Desford, played by Royce Pearson. So if you remember all of those from series 1 to 4, they'll be making a return.
And if you don't remember them, read my recap.
That's
exactly.
Right.
Are we convinced?
Again, Radio Times / I've forgotten.
Line of Duty series 4.
There you go.
Are we convinced that H really has a name beginning with H? Because it seems like if you're going to do a nickname in a sort of secret organisation, then that seems like a bit of a giveaway.
Yeah, it doesn't seem smart.
Although it could be a double bluff.
Wow, I hadn't thought about. I mean, it's a twisty, turny series, but I hadn't thought about a double bluff. Okay,
exactly.
I do think it's worth bearing in mind that Hargreaves does appear, in this series. He was, if you cast your mind back to those boards that I was talking about, they have a board titled "Who is H?" Hilton appears on there. So does Ros Huntley, who was played by Tandy Newton. Hargreaves does appear on there, as does Ted Hastings. And that's
takes his
big
picture off.
question.
And we've ruled out H from Steps.
That would be a twist.
You can't rule anything out in Line of Duty.
Never considered
Pitch that.
Well, indeed, you never know, do you? There's always twists and turns. So you two have seen the first episode of Series 5?
We have.
Mm-hmm.
And at an exclusive event, I imagine. So what can you tell us about? Obviously, we don't want to spoil it for the ladies and gentlemen at home who want to watch it on the telly. But what can you tell us about?
I'm going to guess there's some twists and turns and shocks.
How did you guess? How?
And you can't tell us about H from Steps being in it.
I'm a super
Can't
fan.
confirm, can't deny.
So
No
what can you tell us about what happens? We've kind of set the scene of where we've got to in the series. What can you tell us about?
Well, I can tell you it is classic Line of Duty with some twists and turns.
Good.
And some big surprises. No, so in this series, they're kind of slightly changing tack and exploring the criminal gang the police have been in league with. So having kind of taking a new approach to uncovering this conspiracy. So we get to see Stephen Graham as John Corbett, the leader of that balaclava gang, the biggest purchasers of balaclavas in the country, and Rashonda Sandel as Lisa McQueen, who's also kind of vying for control within that group.
Gets her own special girly balaclava.
So she does
in the new issue of Radio Times.
Is that good or bad?
I don't know.
She said there might have been glitter, but I think she was joking.
So this balaclava gang, they're presumably linked to and working for H's overall kind of gang, or are they something completely separate?
Well, from what we know from series 1 to 4, not to give any spoilers from series 5, yes, they're kind of the enforcers with that link to H, and they were the ones presumably behind Jackie Laverty's murder in series 1 and the framing of Tony Gates, and they're keeping her body in the deep freeze to release as and when.
Yes.
And they were the ones responsible for the murder of Tommy when he was in the witness protection program, and for involving Lindsay Denton, aka Keeley Horse. What else have they done so far?
Series 3 looked at a paedophile ring, didn't it? At Sandview Children's Home, I think it was called, and that was the series with Danny Mays. There we go.
Yeah, he was excellent.
And that was seen to have connections again with the same gang. I'd say certainly to me, what's not quite clear is who's pulling the strings here. Is it the balaclava balaclava gang, who have a insider H, or is it H pulling the balaclava gang?
Yeah.
Everyone in this series goes by very obvious nicknames.
A sort of 50s kids, that's not Enid Blyton quite, but sort of along those lines.
Yeah, it's a Saturday morning series.
They've got a special logo as well.
Yeah,
go around on skateboards.
Yeah, like the Red Hand Gang, basically. Does anybody else remember that? Probably not.
The silence suggests no.
Suggests not. Stephen Graham is a scary guy, in my opinion.
Very good in this.
I imagine he's going to be pretty damn scary in this.
Yeah, he's really menacing. He is kind of the perfect casting. And Line of Duty kind of lives and dies on its guest leads, and this one looks like it's going to be particularly good. Oh yeah. But no word yet on Stephen Graham's.
I think it'll be interesting to see if anyone does. I mean, Ross Huntley's still alive. You know, this series does also have precedent for bringing people back. We thought Keely Hawes was gone and locked away, and then she re-emerged. Could Ross Huntley come back? You know, there's various characters, if you look throughout the series, who actually are still alive.
Yeah.
And if they're trying to pin down the heart of this gang, could they come back?
Yeah, or could they help with the investigations in the way that Lindsay kind of did?
It makes sense, doesn't it? As the conspiracy gets bigger, that people from previous series come back to
and Jed has said that they're going to
announce
more stars as later in the series. We know that there might be more people coming into it.
I don't know how I feel about the idea of Roz coming back, because I think she was brilliant. Really loved that character, but I just don't know if I want to come back immediately. It's kind of a bit too soon, isn't it?
Then I thought that with Lindsay Denton.
Well,
I kind of thought that's the perfect story arc. And when she was first brought back, I was like, I really hope this isn't like a lame plot device. And then she was brilliant.
It was really cool. It's just like to bring someone back the next series twice might be a bit much. I don't know.
But that's what I do love. You know, if we're talking about why we love Line of Duty, one of the things I love about it is that Jed Mercurio never plays by the book. Like, he's the sort of writer who will chuck a seeming main character out a window in the first episode, or, you know, kill them off. I like that he does unpredictable things. I like that he doesn't play by the book.
But then there is a book, really, isn't there? A book that he's written himself, and a book that, like, drama, a book that drama has kind of is ascribing to more and more, which is like people that you don't think could possibly die are going to die. You know, people make comebacks. Like, these things happen all throughout drama now, sort of these days, and it's almost like a shock if they don't, kind of thing. You kind of have to have those comebacks and supposedly shock deaths. That's like, I don't know.
So what are you saying here? That you'd be surprised if she came back, or you're expecting that she will come back?
I wouldn't be surprised if she came back. I'm just saying I don't know if I sort of if I'd like that or not. I mean, I'd like it because she'd be back and she's cool, so I'd probably be fine with it.
We got there in the end.
Yeah. Well, do you know what I mean, though? I mean, like,
you're on the fence.
Yeah.
No, I think what you're saying is that he's got so good at doing the twists and turns that, in a sense, you almost expect them, so they're less shocking. Is that what you're?
That is slightly true in Series 5. I do think like
you're kind of expecting a major character to be killed and all the things that happen in Line of Duty, which is kind of, that's fine, right?
And it's how crime dramas in general work these days, I feel.
But isn't it fun to watch something where you think genuinely he could kill off anyone in any given scene? I like the thrill of watching something where that feels like it's on the table. Whereas I would argue that a lot of dramas would not kill off their main characters. They don't have the balls to.
It is a cool thing. It's fun. I think it happens more and more these days, though. But
I think
maybe in the post Line of Duty age.
Think about Bodyguard. I watched Bodyguard assuming that she wouldn't be killed off, just because it felt so ridiculous, and yet she was. And even, I think it says a lot that so many people thought that, like, this is the Home Secretary Julia Montague in Bodyguard. So many people were convinced that she wasn't dead because she couldn't possibly be dead, but she was.
True.
And I think he's still. I don't think you can argue that by killing off his characters, you know, suddenly he's not going against our expectations. I think he still is.
Certainly gets people talking about TV, though, doesn't it? Which is a good thing for us.
So are you telling me, just to wrap this up finally, that if by the end of Series 5 of Line of Duty, no major characters had died, you would not be surprised?
I would. Sorry, I'm like so many negatives. Double negatives.
I put it to you, Susanna, that if no major characters have died by the end of Line of Duty 5, then you will be more surprised than if they had.
But what I'm saying is that I like that he can go either way. Like, I like that you're watching it thinking, okay, he could keep everyone alive, but he could also suddenly drop a bombshell on you.
Yeah.
I don't think surprised is the right thing. I just watch it in a constant sense of, like, feeling on edge, which I like.
That's good TV if it's got you on the edge of your seat, and it sounds like we're not sure whether people are going to die or not, which is also good because you don't know what's going to happen. You were at the Q&A, Eleanor, after the screening. Is there any insight you can share from the from Jed or any of the people involved in the series? Is there anything that people said that's would excite fans back at home ahead of Series 5?
Well, so it's clear that Jed Mercurio keeps the cast in the dark as much as he possibly can, which seems like a sensible idea. And he kind of plays with them, like they were saying. Adrian Dunbar had no idea that H could even possibly be Hastings until Jed Mercurio came on the set right at the end of series 4 and just took over directing and threw in a few odd glances that weren't in the script. So he obviously kind of keeps things on the down low as much as he can, but it does sound like he has an idea of where it's going to be. Like he knows where it's going, he's just not telling anyone. They've got series 6 already commissioned, of course, so we'll be looking forward to that. He can play the long game, but Martin Compson promised that we will get some payoff at the end of this series. And he also teased that Stephen Graham's character will be the most dangerous villain yet, and kind of the scariest because he's in this gang and kind of capable of anything.
I will say, I think what's particularly impressive in that first episode is quite how chilling he manages to be. Just over the course of 1 hour, I would totally agree with that.
He's not even on screen that much.
He's not had half the screen time that, his villainous predecessors on this show have had, and yet he gave me his final scene in this first episode gave me such chills.
He's got the capacity to be really scary, that guy. I think
and yet be really if you saw Little Boy Blue, I think it was last year, a couple of years ago, where he played a police detective, a very kind of upstanding police detective. And in that, it was such a different character. I mean, saying Stephen Graham is versatile is no revelation. But if you watch those two things, you'll see like the extent of his range. It's just, I was impressed.
It's interesting to hear that the tension is even there amongst the actors. Which
Absolutely.
I think that's how one of the ways that it comes across on screen. Making last-minute changes and surprises is a great way of getting those kind of real reactions. So it's nice to know that the cast are just as on edge as we are sometimes.
Yeah, and they won't even tell us whether they're in Series 6 or not, obviously. But
they probably don't know.
They probably don't know, yes. No, but one nice little Easter egg Jed Mercurio dropped.
Love an Easter egg. It's not quite Easter though, everyone. So
sorry, we can save it if you like, but
unless you're listening to this at Easter, which
early.
it could be, because it's a podcast.
But if anyone remembers the little boy on the BMX bike from Series 1 who used to ferry around those phones and call Tony Gates names, he is now fully grown up. He's about 20 and he's in the balaclava man gang. He's a balaclava man. He's got a beard.
You'll never believe what the boy on the BMX in Line of Duty looks like now.
Exactly. He had him stand up and we all cheered.
Was he wearing a balaclava?
It's called Gregory Piper. He wasn't at the screening.
Okay.
Gregory Piper must have been pretty chuffed when he got the call saying, "Do you want to be back in Line of Duty again? 4 series on.
Gang.
You're still alive."
Yeah. So all those efforts to kind of give him some rehabilitation in Series 1 clearly didn't quite work. Give him a new friend to take him out for burgers, but never mind.
So what's you can't really say what I was going to say. What are Kate and Steve up to? But you can't really say what Kate and Steve are up to.
Well, I could tell you that Steve has a beard.
Yes.
And Kate has...
He's up to growing a beard.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And Kate has a promotion, I think we can say.
What's she going to be?
DI.
Into a new dynamic within AC12.
Is Kate going to go undercover again?
Well, I mean,
because the whole of the UK police force must now be aware of Kate and what she looks like. She's been undercover like 3 times or 3 or 4 times in the whole of Line of Duty already.
Yeah, if a Kate F joins your department, you should get a little suspicious.
How sustainable is that? I wonder. How many times do they go undercover within the actual police force?
I can't say.
That's a rhetorical question. I don't expect you to be able to answer that. But do you know what I mean? It's kind of like
it's a question we've all asked throughout the last 4 series as well. It's like how many times can you remain undercover?
Yeah.
I mean, she does blow her undercover operations quite a lot.
A photograph would have been circulated around the criminal communities of the police pretty quickly.
Yeah, you're a police contact. Here's a photo.
Like, basically, here's everyone who's in the anti-corruption squad.
There's only about 4 of them.
Yeah.
This is what they look like.
There's a lot of other people working in that department who don't really get a look in, but they do all the busy work. I feel like they deserve some spotlight.
Well, maybe they should go undercover next because she can't possibly continue to do that successfully.
I guess this series is going to be a little different though, isn't it? Because we're looking at, whereas in previous series we've looked at like corrupt police officers. It's
been a lot of Red 15 notices.
Police units, and it's quite easy just to be kind of posted to their office and go undercover. In this series we're looking at a criminal gang. It would probably take years of graft to go undercover, and so I don't know, Kate has the time. She's rather busy. with her new promotion.
Well, no, true. She's not going to go undercover in the criminal gang. No, I guess not.
Or who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I mean,
knows?
well, I tell you what, there is a way in though, isn't there? Because all you've got to do is wear a balaclava and never take it off. It's Bob. Like, just he's about the right height.
And also, Steve's grown a beard, so maybe he could go undercover.
That's true. Yeah.
Beard,
got a bit edgy.
Exactly. Just makes him look a bit different. So that's we've talked about series 5, some of the stuff that we know, some of the stuff that people have said about it. Just generally speaking, we've touched on this already. Why do you like Line of Duty? Why do we think it's a show that people should spend their time watching? And that's to the group.
I don't know why I'm going first, because I've basically said my thing.
Jeopardy.
Jeopardy, that's why I love it. I like watching a series where you feel like pretty much anything could happen.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with that. I just think, though, that they're really good characters and all just really good performances. And that sort of, always draws me, and I'm always mesmerised by great characters. I'm a big fan of Steve, I must say. He's had his ups and downs kind of thing. But he's always been this really believable character to me. I like, there've been times when he's been almost on the outskirts of things. Like, it feels like he was going to be pushed out, kind of thing, and he's got quite upset about that. But we know he's got real integrity as well. So he's a really good character. And I was about 3 series in that I realised that Martin Compston is Scottish, and that is not his real accent.
And he keeps that accent the entire time he's filming.
Yeah,
he speaks,
method accenting.
When the cameras aren't rolling, he's still speaking in his
impressive
accent.
And so he's amazing. I think I'm sort of interested in. Kate's a brilliant character. I don't know about anyone else. Does anybody like? I know it's an ensemble thing, but do you kind of see anyone as being the central character? Because I sort of see her as being the central character, if there was one.
Interesting. I see Steve.
Oh, interesting.
Well, because in the first episode, he's the one who, it's like following his journey into the squad. And then for me, that made him...
I sort of agree with you. I always thought that Kate was the central character.
Not Hastings?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's kind of slightly changed as it's gone on.
I think the whole thing going forward is going to start hinging around whether Hastings is H.
Series
definitely. But I think that it's
But I think
in
past series as well. Do you remember
the
series 3 with Samview, where we found out that Ted was a Mason? I think it was.
Yeah.
And then that, again, it's not the first time it's been alluded to that Ted might be corrupt, I think, to me. And he's like the beating heart of AC-12.
Yeah, I mean, no, he's a brilliant character.
Hey.
Absolutely love him. I'm not dissing Ted in any way, and don't say that I am. Never. But he's a kind of... he's in the background sometimes. He's becoming more to the foreground.
Listen, fella.
But you go into his office.
What
and
accent was that? My accent, not an Irish accent.
For listeners at home, that was an impression.
I suppose what I mean by I feel like you see things through Kate's eyes more often. She's always watching everyone. You feel like she's always the one who steps up in she grabs a gun, runs you down, kind of thing through the streets.
Ted took out the balaclava man.
I know, and that was amazing, an absolutely amazing moment. It was an amazing moment.
I think maybe the lesson here.
I'm not really trying to argue for something.
to descend into an argument.
It's not about your favourite character.
It's not about my favourite character. It's just like, if I had to pick one and think who's the central, the main character here, who are we seeing it through the most? I would say her, but then she would therefore be the most shocking person to turn out to be H.
Yeah.
She ain't gonna be H.
No.
I'll say it now.
No, I mean, I don't think
I
she is.
I
wouldn't place
agree
any
with both
bets.
of you, actually. I think I think a lot of what you think about Kate, but I also think that Hastings has developed to become
I should add
more
that
central.
I
forget
didn't see
Steve.
that I haven't seen series 1.
Admitting to this.
Yeah, well, of course, I'm very honest. I'm not bent copper in any way. So
copper,
maybe I'd have
right?
a different view. Well, I said in any way. I'm neither of those things, either bent or a copper. So yeah, maybe I'd have a different view if I had seen series 1, which I'm going to see very soon because it's all available on iPlayer at the moment, isn't it?
You're going to catch up with
I'm
it
gonna
all.
catch
Good
up.
plug.
Yeah. Well, it's a service to our listeners who I'm sure already know that, but
Maybe one of the good things about Line of Duty is how good it is at switching perspectives and kind of taking us into each
definitely.
character in turn. so that there is no main character.
I would agree with
and
that.
All right, everyone gets a prize.
And I would say sometimes making very clever decisions about what the audience knows and the characters don't. So, like, for example, we knew that Dot Cotton was corrupt way before any of AC12 did. And that gave you a very different perspective on that whole of the first 3 series.
And we've seen Monique go to ACC Hilton and they have no idea still.
Exactly.
So, yes.
Keeps you guessing.
Yeah.
And the interview scenes. I feel like we can't talk about what we like Line of Duty without mentioning the interview scenes, because I don't think many people could write a scene where it's just 2 sets of people sitting across a desk from each other in a very plain set and make it as tense and as gripping.
No, I totally agree. They are the best bits. They're the best bits.
And there are interview scenes.
Who would have thought that you could sit and watch literally
5,
15-minute interview, scene and be gripped throughout? But it's incredible. Like the combination of script, shooting, and those actors. I don't know how they do it. It's awesome.
If you knew, you'd make your own version, wouldn't you? So they won't tell you.
Yeah, it's true.
So that's Line of Duty. We know there's going to be a 6th series as well. So there's plenty more Line of Duty to come. But Line of Duty Series 5 starts...
Sunday.
Mother's Day.
Sunday, 31st of March, 2019 at 9 p.m. on BBC One.
A Mother's Day present to everyone. So that's something for us all to look forward to. We wait with bated breath to see what happens next and who might or might not be killed in the next series.
Or if indeed anyone is killed. You just don't know in Line of Duty.
This is going to be the series where that's the twist. It's not.
We'll have to wait and see. Thank you very much for joining us on the RadioTimes.com podcast. We'll see you again next time. Bye.
Bye.